miles bar race from New York to Los Angeles. And there was a great cross-country driver by the name of Cannonball Baker. And he had done a bunch of record runs in the 1920s and 30s, and so I named the event after him.
You get an old issue of National Geographic. They had car ads. They used to hire a guy named Cannonball Baker.
Right.
And he would drive across country trying to promote the performance of the car. And in the 20s or teens, that was a hell of an accomplishment.
Cannonball Baker set more than 140 point records in his life, and he did them in all sorts of things, in cars and motorcycles, racing trains, doing hill climbs, and of course he was doing it at a time where there was no developed roadway, there was no infrastructure, he would break down, he would be lost for days, all the things that you would imagine would go with that type of adventure, but it was him.
Brock could envision this guy riding coast to coast and challenging himself to conquer the feat of doing something that was legendary.
Hi, I'm Brock Yates. As an automotive writer,
Brock Yates was a very bright, commanding kind of person.
He was one of the most creative minds I think I ever knew. He could put in writing what a lot of people thought, but a lot of people couldn't say.
He was very broad gauge, informed about politics and history and cars and racing. Early on, they called him the assassin because he just said what he thought, and he didn't care about paying the price.
I suppose half the fun that Cannonball Baker was anticipating the indignant paint that would rise in its wake. Let Nader and his ilk wander inside their airbags.
I wouldn't say he was intentionally charming. He was just charming. I mean, in those days, he was considered a bad boy. He wrote for virtually everybody. He did Time Magazine, he did American Heritage, he did a column for the Washington Post, he did Sports Illustrated. He liked the challenge of doing different things. He did the first aired Daytona 500.
Let's go to Brock Yates. Absolutely. Brock Yates was a phenomenal writer. He was an accomplished driver.
He loved to drive because it was life his way, and that was very important to him.
He was associated and knew everybody that was in the automotive scene, and it made him kind of the perfect linchpin for a movement like Cannonball. He had all the connections, he had access to the cars, and he had the ideas and the gumption to go out and actually exploit them.
You gotta remember, in the early 70s, everybody went nuts. The government was getting involved in automobiles. Ralph Nader was at full cry.
This man is not in politics, yet today he's one of the most influential men in the United States.
Ralph Nader, Brock knew very well. They hated each other, each espousing a totally different philosophy about cars and speed and fuel.
The automobile touched all Americans, and this was to me the perfect interface between a major public issue having pollution, safety, economic significance, and the day-to-day life of millions of people.
Nader was a fierce competitor.
He's an excellent student of what it takes to gain notoriety or attention for the things that he thinks are important. Not too many people take on GM and win.
It's in his headlong pursuit of the car industry that Nader has made many of his enemies.
Brock was on a different track. Speed doesn't kill, Brock would say. People do. Bad drivers.
Superlative handling, braking, steering, lighting, etc., coupled with driver confidence is the true key to sanity on the highways.
He wrote a wonderful piece in 1971 explaining to the public and his critics why this event was important, and it had nothing to do with let's get out and drive fast and break all the laws.
That's the way it's going to be, car freaks. In the first demonstration that some people are aware enough to handle their own destinies behind the wheel of an automobile. Of course, the whole thing is going to raise hell, and the day might come when guys are busting across the nation in some sort of no-fault protest that people who know how to keep cars under control are not going to collapse in the face of government bureaucracy. The other guys in the automotive press can sit around and recommend letter writing to your congressman, but I've had it.
In the spring of 71, no one showed up. Brock said, the hell with it, I'm just going to do it. His son, Brock Jr., was 15, and the editor, Steve Smith, was there, and he said, get in the car, and off to do the cannonball all alone.
We took a Dodge van and modified a little bit.
What they call moon trash, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we just went across the country. We got lost and had some horrible